So now we can have a look at the limiter and afterwards the clipper. To begin with, I'm setting the attack and release time of the limiter to fast. Reducing the threshold. Because the limiter uses auto makeup gain, the volume will increase proportionately as I decrease the threshold. I'm going to filter out some of the lower kick frequencies while I'm at it. I can save those settings to the B buffer by clicking on this arrow. Then I can do an A-B comparison later. The sound is now lacking in punch due to the fast attack time, especially the kick and snare. Lengthening the attack time seems to make quite an improvement. The limiter now has time to process a longer portion of the signal. I can now do a comparison by clicking on the A-B buffer buttons. Reverting to a fast attack time and slowing down the release time seems to even out the sound of the kit. The interaction between the threshold and the release settings, and also the amount of clipping, is very important in shaping the sound. Increasing the attack time adds a bit more snap to the drums again. As I mentioned earlier, this drum kit has no pre-processing applied to it. I've chosen to use ammunition across the stereo drum bus, primarily so you can at least get a general feel for the plugin. Decreasing the threshold has increased the output level, and as a result the clip meter is now registering. This means that the signal is now being clipped by ammunition's soft clipping circuit. If I click here and disable the clipper, you can now see how high the level really is by observing the peak meter. Obviously this level wouldn't do because anything over 0 dBFS has the potential to overload some D2A converters, especially in a CD mastering situation. If I turn the clipper on again, you can see just how well the clipper is doing its job. So the clipper helps you attain considerably higher levels without serious signal degradation, and soft clipping forces the signal to stay below 0 dBFS. Clipping also rounds off the sharp edges at higher levels. You may find that using the limiter and clipper suits your needs perfectly, although in other cases a combination of the compressor and limiter clipper may be your preferred choice. Whether you're working with a single sound, a full drum kit or a mix, results will understandably differ depending on the complexity of the program material. Because the limiter doesn't use look-ahead algorithms, it means that if the transients go beyond 0 dB, the clipper will take care of the overshoots. Also, it's surprising how much level can be achieved before the clipper audibly damages the sound. The clip meter is now showing a fair amount of clipping going on, as you can see. But as I showed earlier, if I turn off the clipper, you can see the difference. You can also use the output control to vary the amount of signal being clipped. As I reduce the output, less of the signal is being clipped. But now the sound changes and there's a reduction in the amount of spectral energy compared to when the clipper is more heavily driven. A conventional brick wall limiter would normally clamp down tightly on these important transients and swallow them up. But by using a clipper on the output, it's possible to transform this amplitude energy into spectral energy. In many cases, this can give you a greater perceived loudness and transient response. The way you decide to use ammunition will be a matter of personal taste, of course, but the main aim of this tutorial is to encourage you to dive in deeper and gain a greater understanding of how it works. It's worth mentioning at this point, for those who enjoy tweaking, that you can turn on a dual band clip stage by clicking here. This has an adjustable crossover frequency, so you can define the separation point of the upper band and lower band saturation. Then you can clip the lows and highs separately. You can adjust the upper band here and the lower band below. You then have a choice between soft clipping when the sliders are set to the left and saturation when the sliders are set to the right. The combined high and low band signal then enters the final output clipping stage, which can be adjusted below. This again gives you a choice between soft clipping and saturation. There is also a button for turning auto gain on or off. Incidentally, when the saturation is set to 100%, driving the signal harder creates an overtone spectrum very similar to a reel-to-reel tape machine. One thing it's important to understand is that the output control is for adjusting the volume level and also how much is being sent to the clipper. Of course, the threshold setting will also have a say in this, but the output is not the final output stage. For this you have the ceiling. You can adjust the ceiling in the config page under Output Clip Stage Ceiling. One would use this to set the optimum level during a mastering project. The default is -0.1 dB. Here's an example. If I lower the ceiling, you can see it's now reducing the peak meter level. Then, even if I increase the output, although the volume increases, it will have no effect on the final output level, as this will always be governed by the ceiling. Of course, increasing the output in this way means we are driving the clipper much harder now. So just to clarify, the setting of the ceiling correlates with the output level shown on the peak meter, so I'll reset it to -0.1 dB. Last but not least, I'm going to talk about the control just to the right of the metering. This lets you dial in an RMS output reference. For example, during a mastering session, you may want to set the individual or overall dBFS level of the tracks. The default is -12 dBFS. To use this, the left switch needs to be set to output. If you look at the RMS meters, they are showing a level around the -10 dB mark for this track. So in order to approximate a level of -12 dBFS, you can adjust the threshold until the meters reach 0. This control provides a visual offset, so you can calibrate the meters based on the final output level you require. You may want the output level to be hotter, say -9 dBFS, which is quite common nowadays. So it's a matter of setting the control to -9 dBFS and then adjusting the threshold until the RMS meters are hovering around 0 again. This is very handy for calculating the RMS level of individual tracks that will make up a final CD compilation. When there are variations in the relative loudness of mixes, this can be an invaluable aid to help you make adjustments. Then the songs can be level matched using this feature. Furthermore, thanks to the object-based approach to Samplitude, there's nothing to stop you using ammunition as an insert on each audio object using the object editor. Then you can unleash ammunition's maximum potential and fine-tune each individual mix. I find this method works extremely well for mastering projects. Of course, the meters don't always tell the complete story. Objective listening is also an important factor when checking the individual levels of tracks that will make up the final master. Anyway, this is the last in this series of 4 tutorials. I hope you have found 1 or 2 things that will enhance your knowledge and workflow. So until next time, goodbye for now.